Have you ever seen a food trend go viral and just wondered, where did that really come from? Today, we're diving into a story that kicks off with a super catchy recipe name, but you'll see it ends with a much deeper question about culture, credit, and who really gets to tell a story. Let's get into it.
Okay, so our story starts where, let's be honest, a lot of stories start these days online. A recipe just seems to pop up out of nowhere and totally takes the internet by storm, mostly because it had a name that was pretty much impossible to scroll past.
So what was this dish? Well, it went by a name that got everybody talking, Marry Me Lentils. I mean, the promise is right there in the name, isn't it? A dish so delicious it could inspire a proposal. But what is it really? So here's what happened. A white food creator shared this recipe, she gave it that incredibly compelling name, and it just exploded. All of a sudden, it felt like people everywhere were fascinated by this supposedly new and unbelievable lentil dish. But this is where the story takes a really fascinating turn. Because once we start to peel back the layers of this viral sensation, we find something much, much older and, frankly, much richer, just waiting underneath. All of that viral hype, it was built on one huge assumption, that this recipe was new. But guess what? And here it is, the big reveal. This wasn't a new creation, not at all. The recipe for these lentils, it's been in India for centuries. It has a deep history, a vibrant culture, and, maybe most importantly, a name of its own. The dish is called Dal Makhani. And just listen to how it's described. Creamy, spiced, and rich with flavor and memory. That last word, memory, that's so key. This isn't just about food, it's a piece of culinary heritage. And this is where we get to the heart of the conflict, right? As Dal Makhani, this dish, existed for centuries, a staple loved by millions, but pretty much unseen by the global mainstream. But the moment it gets repackaged as Marry Me Lentils, the world suddenly snaps to attention. So that contrast, it brings us to the most critical question in all of this. A situation like this really forces us to look inward, to kind of examine our own biases and what we, as a collective culture, choose to value. So this really is the million-dollar question. What does that say about us? Why does a dish so often need to be renamed, repackaged, and presented through a Western lens to get that global attention? It's a question that's really worth sitting with for a minute. So what can we do? This story isn't just about a problem. It's also about a solution. It's a really powerful call to action for celebrating and preserving cultural identity on our own terms. You know, it really comes down to a simple belief. If you're someone who believes that culture, the origin, the history, the actual people behind these amazing traditions deserves the credit, well, then there's a pretty clear next step. In the world we live in today, the response is digital, right? The call to action is to consciously tap follow and tap share on the creators and voices from the cultures that actually bring us these incredible traditions. It's all about amplifying the original storytellers. And ultimately, the takeaway is this proactive, really empowering message, all captured in one single idea. Let's tell our stories before someone else does. It's a call for communities to own their narratives, to share them on their own terms. So the question I want to leave you with is, whose story will you choose to amplify today?